Overhead club defense with distant range. This is when I'm outside of the club range, kind of right here on the tip of the weapon in the power arc, right? You get hit with this, there's the most leverage, and that's gonna hurt the most. So as he winds up to swing, right? This is way too far. If I try and close the gap, I'm gonna step in right into that power arc. Okay. So unless we're quite close, I can't get a hold of the arm. So if I can't get a hold of the arm, instead I'm gonna try and deflect the weapon, okay? So again, club defense is I'm putting the fleshy part of the weapon, or of my arm, towards the weapon, okay, for some padding. So it's important that I close the gap enough that I get inside that power arc. If I try and block this club right here, that's gonna be ugly, okay? So the closer I can get in, the better. In fact, if he swings and I can close the gap so much that I can get on the hand, that's ideal, okay? But it just depends on how much my opponent's coming at me, how my own height, how much I can close the gap. You know, there's a number of factors here. Basically, how well you can close the gap. So at a minimum, we want to get halfway down the weapon or below, okay? Get inside that power arc. So as he swings, I'm stepping in. We'll just, for the sake of the move, I'll just block halfway down the weapon, okay? So I either need to get a hold of the weapon or ideally on his wrist, okay? So we'll go ahead and show the move through, and then I'll start breaking it down further. Okay, so we're just gonna go into a simple hip throw there. So I'm blocking. I'm not stopping this weapon here. If I try and do this, it's gonna be bad news. It's a deflection, okay? So when I make contact with this weapon, you can see how much I'm stepping to the side here. I don't want to remain in the plane of this swing here. I'm stepping out, okay? Deflecting, getting a hold of the wrist or weapon. I prefer the wrist, okay? From here, I'm going to continue to close the gap, and I'm going to shoot this arm in for the underhook. I'm going to position where I normally do for the hip throw. Ideally, feet within his feet, toes facing the same direction as his. And I like to really exaggerate my booty out to the side here. Okay. I'm going to lift, and if I do this properly, he should just dangle right across my hips. Now I'm going to tuck my shoulder, point this arm to the mat, and he'll just roll right off. Don't let go of the wrist here, okay? I'm controlling this club in my armpit, okay? And then from here, we have options, okay? We're never gonna let him switch the weapon to the other hand, okay? There's a lot of stuff I can do here, but ultimately, I'm just keeping a hold of this so that I can either strike, submit, with the arm lock, or whatever other options you have. Okay. So, from a different angle here, I'm too far away to close this gap effectively. Okay. He swings, closing the distance as best I can. We'll say maybe I only get my hand on the club this time. I'm stepping in, deep step, ideally right between his legs, so that I can get this underhook here. Positioning, exaggeration on the hips, lifting, he should dangle, and then I'm just rotating through. Again, I'm not taking my hand off. Whatever it's on, I'm not trying to reposition to get the wrist because you might lose it. Whatever you initially get a hold of, we're holding. Okay. A couple more times here. These swings. Okay. Stepping through, pinching the club here, getting my underhook, positioning through. exaggeration on the hips, turn, gentle tilt here. One more time from this angle, here. Closing that gap as effectively as I can. Grabbing, pinching the weapon, stepping in, getting the underhook, turning, hips. So I haven't broken down the hip throw as much. If you want to watch more detail on the hip throw, you could watch the hip throw video. But the essential part is closing the gap, sidestepping, and getting a hold of the weapon.